And good evening and hello and welcome back. I know it's a weird time, but I want to hop on now because things are happening and I didn't want to wait to a artificial imposed time. And if you can join us, that's great. If you're not, you can always watch it back, but it is great to be back with you this evening. I hope you've all been well. It has been a while, but we've at least had some different decent weather for a change. So um, hopefully it's all working out. But anyway, let's get on with stuff. We've got lots to look at. And hopefully the sound's good tonight. We've been checking it all. Looks like good, but all right, let's go. We have got stuff to do. Let's go. Okay, so we have got a storm going right at the moment up in the northern areas, basically between sort of Penrith and the coast. We can see here on this radar, thanks to Windy, just popped up now. There's lightning starting to appear up, and we're going to actually look at, we'll check out actually the other radar with the lightning tracker now. I just want to show you the satellite picture. We'll zoom out and have a quick look. And we can see the cause of today's conundrum really is that we've been sitting on the very end of this band of moisture pouring in from the northwest and from the tropics. And it has actually been aided and abetted by the negative IOD for change, which has actually not been doing much, but has actually started to kick up its gear. And you can see there's two actually real features with this. We can see the lower level stuff, which is all this low cloud here popping up. And then you can see this higher level jet stream cloud, which is helping to bring that tropical moisture in, which is why it was quite mild and muggy last night. Now, this is the feature here that's going to kick off activity tomorrow, and we'll come back to that. We'll look at the, and you can see just how angry that looks now. There is absolutely a bucket load of storms with it, but it's still a fair way away. You can see it's way in Western New South Wales, so it's still away. But here, this moisture stream here is associated with what we're getting now. We can see right on the very edge of it, so we're right on the dry line. So there's moisture here, and there's moisture over here, and there's this dry in between, and that's why today has been a bit sort of up and down. It was always going to be a bit up and down, as we said. But dry lines can be very good for initiating very strong and severe storms at a last minute, which is what we're sort of starting to see now. So enough of me robbling around. Let's um, get on to and check out what is going on with main radar, and we'll go. Oh, there we go. That's my internet that wasn't working, mind you, but hopefully it's going all right tonight. I'm not sure it's back 100%, but I'm just going to trust the process and we'll see how we go. All right, so let's go. We'll quickly dive in. Maybe it's not. Come on. This is the one because it's on Brisbane, and Brisbane's down at the moment. All right, let's put that on here. And we'll slow it down so we can actually see some pro. We don't need 6 hours worth. Let's go for the last hour. And we'll turn off the satellite picture now because it's getting dark and it's probably not going to give us much indication. So we've got lightning. There we go. We've actually got a storm up near Hornsby, approaching northern beaches. So anywhere from the CBD now, North Sydney definitely has got a storm coming through. Hail is going to be possible with this because of just the way this dry line set up. Very sort of sharp stop between moisture and no moisture. And severe storms do love that. Let's slow it down because it's going way too fast. We'll check out the 3D radar in a minute. We'll see if there's any hail caused. In fact, I can see one already. So there is potential for hail in this cell already. And we'll check if there's any warnings issued. I'd say it's not, but hopefully, if you're out there listening, let's move that to the side in case anybody joins the chat. If you're listening, hopefully you can make sure you get your cars under cover. But yes, there is definitely a chance of hail with this. So yeah, look after your property, get stuff sorted. But it is definitely already starting to a storm. And I can see already, I think there's a purple core. We might actually just pop in to a bit closer. And we can see here, purple core already. So there's definitely hail with this already. And need to be prepared for hail. I'm going to just update the page already because we have stuff is going away. I'm not sure. I'm thinking some guy called George saying Cape's non-existent, but anyway, Sydney wind was out, steering was a dinosaur. And we have away. Yep. And we have potential hail in that cell. So let's go and get this onto the time. Hopefully somebody can join us. If not, I'll just keep talking to myself. I don't mind. Let's go. Let's get the page updated. I'm actually going to download this right now. Uh, I hate trying to upload here from stuff. It's so annoying. Alrighty, let's go. And hopefully we'll get some people join us very soon. Otherwise, they're missing out. They say get on and do a live. I get on and do a live, and then there's no one here. Okay, let's go. Please, Facebook. How do I get gifts onto here? Oh, there we go. Ryan's on, Thomas is on, Trace is on. Hello, everybody. Been here sitting chatting to myself. Love to see you all. Thank you for joining us. I'm just in the process of actually trying to get some because there's a hail core on that sill already. It's gone from 0 to hail in that shows you how explosive the atmosphere is. Unfortunately, I think some of us may miss it down this way, but we may get stuff. It is really starting to explode, which is very typical. If you were here earlier, I was explaining that dry line storms are typically like this. They hold, hold, hold. You think it's not all over, and then bang, they explode. And what we're seeing right now, it is exploding, and there is definitely a hail chance. But I'm trying to get damn Facebook to upload a GIF, and of course it won't do it. And I don't have time to actually try and really switch it over to a GIF. I just wish my favorite website would give me the opportunity to download it as an MP4 or something. GIF to MP4. Anyway, lovely to see you all. How's it out your way? Anything interesting going out there? I love this George guy on the page that said, not going to happen. Steering us away. There's no escape. And I'm like, and that was only 4 minutes ago. And he actually didn't actually check a radar. So it's literally exploding. And it's been exploding for a few minutes. It's not like it just happened, mind you. And it's gone straight to hail. And he's still there telling me, no storm, I'm like, okay, sure. Awkward for you. Okay, here we go. Let's go convert to M4. Please, please, please. Let's get this out and on. Okay. Save. Allow. Done. Okay. Get this on the page. You guys can chat amongst yourself. Actually, now you can keep me updated. Let me know what's going on in the chats about with that radar while I just do this. So get people updated. Um, uh, it's that. I don't know why suddenly that's gone so small. And keep an eye on that radar for me, peeps. I'm trying to do it as quick as I can, and I'll get back to you. Here we go. Copyright's not detected in my video. Well, that's very nice of you to tell me. I know there's no copyright in there. Oh, this is all new. Okay, well, let's go. All right, so that should be on the page any shortly. I'll get people's attention because there's definitely some hail in that. All right, let's go and have a look at the nothing happening here. Nothing here too, Tracy. Oh, actually, it's just exploding right now on top of me. On that last radar frame. What? Oh, yeah, let me look out the window. Yeah. Wish I could turn the camera and show you that side, but it's black as anything right on top of me. Holy shit, it's exploding. Everybody get ready for stuff inbound. It is exploding right now. It's black on top of me. Massive black rain-free base. This is that stuff here. You can still see my cursor. Can't you? I need to put that down because I can't see. Make sure it's there. Yeah, cool. So this is what's happening right on top of me here. This mass here, it is black, not raining. So I'm not sure why it says blue, what that's there, but it is black, 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 black. Let's zoom in a bit more. So it can be random cells anywhere looking at this. So don't get too upset if you miss something, but it's possible anywhere the way at the moment. It's starting to explode everywhere. And that is just the way these dry lines are, as I explained before. Interesting. Get some pics. Good on you, Thomas. Good job for that. Good luck with that. Rain bomb. Hey, John. Nice to see you. Let's go and have a look at the 3D radar because it should have some images now processed, and we might have to zoom in a bit, and we'll check out this. Uh, we'll go back a frame where that hail core was. There we go. Is it there somewhere? Wow, you can see how far they're shooting up very quickly. Um, explosive development, which is very atypical. We'll leave that radar there, and we'll just as I said, these dry line situations. Um, wow, definitely a chance of some big hail on this. And it's already started to identify it. You can see that white line there. That's identifying it as a potentially severe storm already. So you can see the algorithm that the this person who owns this website has put together there. That's the reason why. Look at that big hail. That is a hail core there. Developing hail core and a big developing hail core. So there is definitely some potential for some hail across the northern beaches. Hopefully, you're all listening. Hopefully, someone's paying attention. Hopefully, you let your friends know. I've just put a post on the page, but you know the way the algorithms go, um, I might actually download that image and try and get that out to warn people. But that is a big potential hail call. You can see what I'm talking about here if you're still listening or you're online. This big red patch here, you can see how it's quite way above the ground. So you can see there, 2Ks up. So you're really looking for a good hail call to start about 2Ks and go way up as you know as high as the updrafts can support it. You can see that's a clump of moist, very moist air, and you can see it because of the dark red. And that will go up and up and up, and then obviously come flying down. You can see it's at the back is it the back there? Yeah, because it's we're looking. Don't forget. So on the left hand side here, this is Terry Hills, and it's looking towards the south or the southwest. So basically looking towards me. And you can see this is on the back side of the storm. So this is where you're going to want to see um, that hail develop. So that's the perfect place. Um, and let's go back and just check. I need to actually open this in another row. Let's open this in another window, so we're not going to go back and forward and ruin it out. All right, so there we go. So it's no updated pictures, so we can go back to here. And you can see there's lightning down the back of it. You can see there's two little, probably just a little bit there, but you can see the two positive marks there, or the two crosses. That's positive lightning, so that's cloud to ground lightning. And then you'll see little squares, that's actually intercloud lightning. You can see there's a square there. So that's obviously in the upper part of the cloud, or even in the updraft of the cloud. But yeah, the fact that it's now producing cloud to ground lightning is definitely a sign that it's intensifying. Um, we can see just how quickly it went basically from nothing to hail in 2 frames. So there's that one there. So at 5:35, not a real lot happening. 5:39, updraft organizers, and 5:45. So 6 minutes. Whack. It goes from basically nothing to up nearly 6Ks high in 5 minutes. That's how unstable the atmosphere is at the moment. Um, Then we go next frame. We can see here a really solid core, and you can see that square there with the white arrow. That is already that is the algorithm that's behind this 3D radar identifying. There it is. There's the hail right there. See, there's that big purple slab there. That's some pretty decent sized hail. And the algorithm is identifying that this storm is potentially severe. Obviously, it's got an organized updraft. You can see that by the winds, and I don't sure exactly how they program this, but that would be one of the things they'd be looking at Doppler. So if I was to say here and turn the velocity on, you can probably see, yeah, very strong updrafts. You can see those darker blues coming right up. And that's obviously what Doppler's, the algorithm is looking at, the storm tracker thing. You can see the purple here actually goes right up. So very, very big hail core developing. Whether that's fallen or melted, possibly melted, maybe a little bit formed. Not sure. Wait till we get some obviously some on the ground observations coming through. But yeah, and then of course the storm starts moving, so we need to focus it somewhere over there. And you can see it looks a bit messy. That's because it's so close to Terry Hills. Now what we might do is we might actually swing to Appin and see if we can get it decently from Appin. Yeah, too far away. If I zoom out a bit, yeah, you won't get a lot there. Too far away now. All right, let's go back to Sydney. We'll better check the other radar because looking at Appin there, it says it's almost on the coast. Let's go have a look. No, you can see this here is amble rain. So that's the upper level sort of blowing the cloud ahead. You can see, but there's the core of there. There's another two hail cores just there. Those little round things, and possibly in the back there. It's not very lightning active. There's a bit of lightning. There's not a lot of fresh lightning, but then the lightning tracker is also delayed as well by about, I think it's about 10 to 15 minutes too. So you're not going to get real time lightning data, unfortunately. But it is looking pretty decent. Um, and then looking to the south, go away. We've got one near me here now. No lightning as yet. I'll let you know. You'll probably hear it as soon as it starts blowing up. Um, and if I change the base scan here, this gives us sometimes a better perspective of what's actually happening on the ground because there's these wind boundaries. So you can see what's happening here. I just thought I heard some thunder. You can see what's kicked this one off here. Look at this blob of wind coming in from the southwest. So you watch it coming in here, and then lo and behold, bang, just ahead of the storms kick off. And that is definitely this is the back end of this trough clearing out. So it's a bit of that sort of zone. But as it comes through, you can see things kicking out with it. And you can see there's other sort of wind boundaries here. Sort of localized wind there. Maybe it's a bit of wrong one. I'm doing the lip speed. Like, no wonder it's not moving. Could be just a bit of sea breeze or a bit of norwesterly blowing there. I mean, there's not real strong winds blowing at the moment. Let's go and look at the velocity of this. This is the actual wind Doppler. You've heard it talked about here. So you can see orange is towards away from the radar and blue is towards it. So you can see this bit of a norwesterly. And you keep a little eye on these little pockets of orangey sort of yellow colors there. They're updrafts developing amongst the general flow. And that's where you want to sort of start to see these things pop up. And you can see them everywhere starting to pop up in the latest Doppler. And don't forget, Doppler needs something to bounce off. So if there's no cloud or stuff around, you're not going to get much return unless there's a lot of dust and stuff around. So it's not always the best thing to try and rely upon to work out what's going on, where updrafts are going on. But you can see these little pockets of blue stuff going up here. You can bet your bond dollar will be something sort of popping up around those areas. Um, I might scroll up a bit because I'm a bit further down. Sorry about that. And you can see that obviously the colors on the bottom represent obviously the strength of those winds on the Doppler radar. But right, we'll go back and we'll put on constant altitude just to filter out that stuff so we can see these little blue blobs you can see here. They are obviously developing cells, and you can see that one exploded. So just in the back of the Georges River there, no doubt the sort of right higher areas there helped it sort of develop, and whack away it goes. It's still a bit sloppy and a bit messy. You can see there's something else coming in the back of the Shire here, something out near Campbelltown. And this mass coming down here is going to kick off stuff as well as it gets over, because it's starting to get to that time where um, the dry air will get washed out a bit, so it won't be so hostile to activity. And I guess we'll see going from there. Um, and what we'll do now is we'll check the bureaus, any warnings that's going on now. Let's have a look just to make sure. I doubt very much there will be. So, they'll wait for half of the city to be washed away first. So there we go. That's heavy rainfall Wednesday afternoon down. Now that's interesting. We haven't looked at the models yet. So obviously Axis is really starting to develop. They're focusing the area down there. And severe storm out weather out to that west. We just looked at that mass before on the satellite picture. There's some massive storms coming our way from that way. So that's what we definitely need to keep an eye on. Interesting about that severe weather warning for the heavy rainfall down on the south coast and the southern Illawarra areas. Not sure about that. We'll see. Access definitely favours that, unless EC and that sort of starting to fall in line. We'll check that right now because I think EC is updated, and we'll keep an eye. I'll keep the radar ramming away in the background. Actually, I'll keep the warnings up there in case they decide to sort of wake up. Maybe starting to get a bit disorganised, but this is a stuff area here now. We need to, and this may be it. It's definitely had lightning, so there was storm and there was potentially hail in there, but where is we'll go back to our 3D, so what's going on the updraft here. We're too far out. Let me just zoom in a bit. Yeah, probably a bit too far, but this is good because you can actually get to see the little variations in the areas. We can see where some rays are getting like heavy rain, other places like almost next to it are getting not much. You can see just how where the updrafts are in the storm, as you can see the sort of almost a circular sort of part. You can see that bit of a hook there. Now that's interesting. That is very, very interesting. That indicates a very organized updraft. Nothing so much in that yet. It's a bit lost in that, but Need to keep an eye on that there. That is very interesting. Um, Fascinating. Look at that. Oh, next and it goes. There you go. So just updated to that. But you can see, there you go. Look at that. Look at the consequences of that. What you just saw there, that hook. Look at the hail. Massive hail. There's some big hail there. Massive, massive hail. So that's down just near Maroubra, Bondi. Probably got some hail, I think, maybe in the last 10 minutes, maybe not. We'll hopefully get some reports because it's just on the coast there. But there's some big hail in there. Some very big hail up in there. Interesting. Interesting. I'm glad I hopped on here um, and let you guys. So I'm just dealing with like 50 billion messages. All right, so look at this stuff as we go. So some big hail there. You get that sort of when you start to get those this light purple color here, you're up into you're getting into 2, 4, and the large hail. You want to see like the cricket ball size stuff is that white sort of reflection. I've never really seen that actually white on this radar here at all, even when there's been massive hail around. So I'm not sure that we'll ever going to see that. When you start to see purple, any of these purples, you know that there's large hail potentially. And hopefully someone on the coast can give us an update about what they have because that has just gone over the head. And look how that is some very, very decent sized hail, but some very heavy rain. That very dark red is always some localized good falls there. Um, you can see how quickly it's moving too, and then you can see we'll zoom out because there's stuff now coming down to the south, and this one here is definitely worth watching because look at that starting to push up now into nearly 8 kilometers higher. That's pretty big. And that'll start to glaciate or form an anvil. And then we start to move into like the mature sort of thunderstorm stage. So we need to keep an eye on these updrafts here. As it's hitting the coast, it's getting the moisture that's along the coast here because of these above average sea surface temperatures. Um, and that is what's really firing this stuff up as they get towards the coast. So um, again, you can see even on the here, all these little areas here where there's that green sort of dotty stuff, that is potential storms and potential updrafts developing all around that area there. So um, the moisture is obviously starting to push in. The geostrophic flow of those nor'westers, whatever was blowing today, which is sort of hindering the moisture, has sort of eased back around, and it's allowing this moisture sort of push in and now be tapped into by uh, this trough as it pushes off to the northeast ahead of the next sort of stuff that's moving through. That's not bad. Let's go back and check the actual current radar. There you go. So there's definitely something just missed me, unfortunately, bugger. There's been no lightning at there, so as soon as I hear some lightning, I will definitely let you know. But that's going to potentially have somehow. It's unusual, actually. There you go. There's that big purple core I just showed you. We can go back in on radar. You can actually zoom into 32 here because look at that big. That's actually going to be large hail somewhere down in Maroubra near the golf course end of the jail. La Perouse, up towards even Bondi Beach. Actually, no, that's Northern Sydney. Sorry, I'm thinking the wrong bloody area. Right, down North Head, definitely Manly Beach, somewhere around that area there. Even back up to maybe the Mayor of Freshwater might be getting something there. But definitely some large hail around that Manly area right now. Just not if it's just cleared off. Very big hail. Look at that massive purple core. One up here that's worth keeping on. It's definitely near Freshwater somewhere, maybe a bit further north than Freshwater. I'm not sure because it's not names are coming out there. And then you got this other mass coming out towards Sydney Airport. That's going to absolutely present some hazards to the planes because it's rapidly exploding and developing. So it's not like it's going to be sitting on the radar coming towards you and you can prepare. This is probably going to dump right on top of them. Um, and potentially across to those areas I was just talking about, which is the eastern suburbs, even the CBD. Potentially, it's developing as it gets closer to the coast. So there's definitely something going on there. Um, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll zoom out a bit, get back out to 64, so we see the whole of Greater Sydney. Interestingly, as I was saying, there's not a lot of lightning with it at this stage. We'll keep that looping in the background for you, which is unusual when you get hail. Normally, you do get hail does tend to give pretty lightning active storms, but not this one. And perhaps it's because this is moving so fast and there's quite a lot of dry air around. That could be an issue as well. All right, let's go back here and just see if this is updated. Not yet. Um, you can see that big hail core again there and that bit purple. This area here, we might actually just pop in. Uh, it's no real in between for this one, is there? It's either in or out. Um, Unfortunately, sorry. That's the best I can do. You can also change. This is interesting too because radars have like you can change the angle so you can go up a bit more, and it tends to then filter out some of this other mesh. You can start to see the stuff up there, the upper stuff as well. You, and then you can point it down back towards the surface, and you can see here the clutter, which is this is all surface area and sort of dust and probably bugs and a whole lot of stuff, even trees in some places there. This angle is actually very good for determining updrafts, which is I said before. So you can see all these little sort of spikies out here. There'd be some topography stuff there, and there'd be some probably winds and bugs and stuff. But there's definitely some rising air out there, which is what we definitely keep an eye on. Where's this one hasn't updated yet? Should be far away, I think. Auto updates on, I think. And what we got going on? Meso detection. Oh, that's new. Very new. Oh, fresh lightning too, with that cell right on the coast now. Look at that. Just come in then. This is a brand new feature, meso detection. Okay, well, wow, that is really nasty now. Look at that. The hail is going right up towards 5 kilometers up and higher. That's definitely shows some pretty strong updrafts, and that even maybe on the way down. It's how low it is. That's maybe on the way down to the ground now, which is it's just off the coast, or maybe just right on the coast. So Manly may have escaped it, but there we go. Ah, right. So those red dots are actually mesos. They're actually developing potential strong cells within the actual cells themselves. So this is fantastic. I never knew that. I don't know that held on here anymore. There we go. So if you look here, you can see potential meso-cyclone. So that's where you've got very strong cells starting to develop and potential for organized thunderstorms. So um, and then potentially, obviously, severe slash supercells if they obviously get going. But that's a fantastic little feature. Wow, good job, Weather Watch. Thank you. That's definitely something worth while keeping, and then I can just turn them off. Um, Sweet, sweet, sweet. Very good fun. Very good feature. Um, let's go. What's this one? Must be updated soon. Let's have a look what this one's saying here. Definitely going to be some hail on that one soon. So anywhere basically from the airport through to the northeast, including all those sort of eastern burbs and even sort of the eastern CBD, Vaucluse and that sort of stuff. I'd prepare for a storm coming through with the potential for hail. Not necessarily going to get it, but there's definitely potential because you can see it's been observed on radar and it's going up very quickly. Nothing in this area yet, but we can see before we go back to this 3D radar. Um, They've got no in betweens. It's like, what's the range? Yeah, it's kind of like the 128. There's no, and then there we go. See, why? That's no, that's gone further out. That's gone further out. Zooming out. That's as best as I can go. Sorry, just otherwise then it goes too far away and we miss everybody. Um, we can have a quick closer look at this updraft down here. Hopefully, no, just outside of it. This is a beast. This one. That's got look at that. All that purple in there. Wow, not bad. For especially for nothing explosives. Again, I'll just repeat. This is a classic dry line situation. This is what you'll see. Like you'll see nothing. You'll start to get that. It's a fizzer, and then literally within the space of 15 minutes, it will explode into this. Um, and that is just classic, and it will catch people like the bureau well off guard, because it'll dump hail, it'll, cause a whole lot of stuff, and then it'll be off the coast, and they won't have done nothing to be issued, and people will be caught completely unawares. And this is where I really advocate for, a bit like they do with the flood threat advices. I do not understand why there's not a severe storm advice. And then go to a severe storm warning. I've advocated for as long as I've been interested in weather, and the Bureau always resists. They say the public they get panicked, and yeah, people get panicked. That response is always going to happen. But education uh, addresses panic. And if you educate people over time, when they see that, they know that's not going to happen necessarily, but it's a heads up that it may be going to happen. But unfortunately, the Bureau is run by data driven people, which is fair enough. Um, And then you look at a weather organization that's run by a balanced sort of view. You look at the NOAA, for example, in America, that does all these preparatory type stuff. Heads up, this may happen. They have very digestible, understandable information, forecasts, graphics they put out, are detailed, gives you, information about where things are going to be, potential timing. That's the balance that we should see here with the Bureau. And I don't understand why they've always resisted it. They say it's a resourcing issue. Well, here's some free advice. Take some people off the climate change department, put it back on what you're supposed to be about, which is forecasting day-to-day weather, and let maybe like something like the CSIRO, that's supposed to be our national scientific body. Maybe look them after, because climate is not weather. Climate can influence weather, but it is not weather. And that is where I think the whole debate gets bogged down and lost for most people. And you've seen it, we've seen it, we've all read it. There's a hot day, climate change, and then there's a super cold day. See, there's no global warming, and both opinions are fallastical. Is that a fallacy? Whatever the verb of fallacy is, but they're both uneducated, and that's partly because the day-to-day issue of weather is lost, because our day-to-day weather people, who should be doing that sort of stuff, are too busy looking at climate and preaching at us about climate. And that is my rant over for tonight. There you go. And see, there's my ChatGPT warning about severe storms come up, because I set my little GPT up that I created to actually monitor conditions and monitor a whole range of sort of models. And it gives me a flag up, because especially in my work, and I don't have a chance to be looking at models all the time. Um, I get a nice little warning saying, heads up, check this out. I'm like, oh, cool. And going back to, we can see that one over Botany Bay is now starting to explode quite nicely. We've got a big red core in it now. That will be hail any second soon. Let's have a look at it. Not on this radar as yet. Hasn't refreshed. If I try and maybe bring the next image up, perhaps, or I'll manually refresh it. Let's click our fingers here and see if it does. Not as yet. Some fresh lightning on that cell just off North Sydney now. Once she's off the coast itself, but off Manly there. But could have hung around and give us a bit of a show. But anyway, but it's a beast of a cell. Um, no doubt anybody who's a photographer and is anywhere in the sort of vicinity of maybe the eastern suburbs or even northern beaches, I would get down to a good vantage point now, because you're liable to get some great lightning shots in the next probably hour and a half, as this beast starts to get over that soupy sort of warm Tasman Sea and starts to pummel away at some poor old fish. All right, let's look at inland now while we're waiting to see what's going on there. Um, Still nothing Pike. I'm definitely watching this blob coming through here. There's definitely going to be something spark up here, probably around Richmond, up to Tracy's way, up there at Lower Portman. So hello Tracy up that way, and good luck. You might get a storm or a shower at least very soon. Looking at this, um, but we're watching that with interest for you. And then what else we got? This back end here of this cell that's now over Sydney Airport and going out to the eastern suburbs and almost the CBD is definitely worth watching, extending back towards sort of Liverpool. Because you go back to our 3D radar here, you can see quite clearly there's some sort of area of convection going on, extending right back to Liverpool. You can see that by those light greens, and there's definitely some air rising there. Whether it gets into, to kicking off anything, we don't know. And you can see then it extends way back to Penrith as well. So there's definitely a discontinuity or some sort of area of rising air along there. It's probably the back end of this trough as it starts to clear right out ahead of tomorrow's sort of activity, which was completely expected. I don't think the models expected the cloud bands a bit further north though, than it was today. So that's going to be an interesting scenario too. Um, I really want to check out models and see what tomorrow's about yet, but I don't want to be missing out on potential uh, fun and games as we see, hail cores develop right here and now and live. Uh, Come on, 3D, why are you not updating? There's got to be a new image out soon, surely. Uh, I'll get back to our usual 2D. I'll scroll a bit so it's right front and center. Oh my God. Don't loop out of me now. We're still waiting for a fresh cell. We still want that stuff up there to the northwest. That'll definitely kick something up. And it's almost like it's connecting to this area here too, which it probably is. So there's a bit of a line going down between the sort of back of the Georges River, arcing up sort of towards Richmond. It looks like the southwest here may have just skipped it. Same here. You can see it's just gone on the top of me and then exploded. So it looks like I'm in dead man's zone as well. But I guess we'll see. Um, it is clearing out to the northeast though, and pretty quickly. So some people will get some people won't get some. That's unfortunately, there we go. Just as you can see here now, as I flagged you, it's starting to develop on that back end side here. And you can see you can see the air rising there. So if you look in a normal direction, say out this way, you can see there's all these sort of little green dots, which is quite normal. It's sometimes the hills or communication towers, could be some dust and wind, and sometimes it's a flock of birds. The radar's quite sensitive, it can pick up that sort of stuff. And then you get this stuff above that. So above that sort of surface level noise, that's when you can see that's when air is starting to rise. So these are the ones here, these sort of pops in these sort of stuff here almost. You need to keep an eye on these sort of stuff because they're the ones where it's potentially, developing cells. So you look over here, some of that's noise. So some of these upper ones here are maybe noise. It could be a bit of cloud, but maybe mid-level cloud. Hard to tell from this particular. But these sort of in this area here is we want to look at sort of updrafts starting to develop, or cells starting to develop. So you get something like at Liverpool there. You can see that sort of bit of yellow. You can see it's on the ground, so that's probably surface level. It's probably a tower or something, or there's potentially something growing there. Um, it's up to nearly 2 kilometers in height, so it's starting to get into that area where clouds are forming and developing. Um, Again, it could be a plane landing, it could be anything, but it's definitely something still happening out here, just to the northeast of Campbelltown. Definitely something. So that's around this area here. Um, and you can see on the bottom here, you can see distance from radar. So how you work it out is you go here. You can see on Campbelltown, if you put with it, you can see down the bottom, it will say, where does it say my distance to radar? Um, um, it's supposed to say it on the graph somewhere. Let me find a place. So it says here, that's definitely not 2 kilometers from Terry Hills down to Chester Hill. I'm not sure what's going on down there. No, because remember where it was last time. It used to stay in the bottom here. But they've taken it out. You used to be able to put the line there, and it would actually tell you exactly where it is. So we need to work it out. So it's about here. See, distance from radar about 38 k's. So that's about where Camden is, I think. Campbelltown is. Let's have a look. Terry Hills, radar. Oh, we got to go away from the radar edge because I picked it up, the layer up. Let's go here. Ain't going to let me do it. Well, maybe if I start down here. Nope. All right. Okay. Enable measurement tool. It would be good if the measurement tool could actually work. Maybe it's on here. No. Well, that's interesting. It must be disabled because of the beam here. But it used to tell you exactly on the bottom here. It would say what height the beam was at. The obviously latitude, longitude, and how far from the radar it was. But now it just gives you the whole information. It doesn't actually tell you any of those details anymore. Maybe that one? Nope. Oh well, that's a bit disappointing. That functionality is not working. Could be because it's a stupid Mac thing. Uh, Oscar, where are? Oh, sorry, Oscar. I'm actually doing the stuff. I then actually was reading the chat. Um, where you go? So how did the storm form, Oscar? It formed on the looks like it's collision from pretty weak sea breeze, some shallow moisture near the coast, and that got sucked up into the activity upstairs, and away it went. And will Central Coast get lightning and thunder? Not at this stage, but we're watching this mass over here near Colo Heights because that is definitely heading your way, and that definitely looks like it's going to potentially develop into something. You can see here on the radar here, lots of green and yellows above the ground, which means that there's something heading your way. At this stage, too little to tell. There's lightning now off the coast here. Haven't heard any thunder yet, but I have been yabbering, so definitely some hail possible around. I said La Perouse, Maroubra, eastern suburbs now, even as I said eastern CBD, you can see it's starting to encroach upon that as it clears out. Still nothing there. This one here definitely could push into sort of Avalon Beach through to the coast, but in a few hours, or maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Then these ones are flying. These ones aren't moving that fast. Um, oh, just heard some weak thunder. There you go. Can you hear it in the background? Not sure if you can hear it. It's just very faint. Because I'm not very far away from it. If the measurement's going to work on here, it should do. Where's the measuring tool? There. If I go from here to where the lightning is, about there, yeah, I'm some 15 k's away, so not far. Um, you think I'm popping over to you, Thomas? I'm not sure yet. Um, Hello, Bob's your uncle. Lovely to see you. Potential. Gotta have an old-fashioned fizzer. Oh yeah. Hello, Rachel. Lovely to see you. Vit down near the airport brewed up out of nothing. Yep, exactly. It's hitting that moisture on the surface, and it's getting sucked up into that trough that's coming above us. The dry air on the surface is really killing stuff inland. There we go. There we go. There's just something popped up near Liverpool, which is what I was telling you before on the 3D radar. I said, didn't I not say, let's watch that area there? And voila, bang, just to the northwest of Liverpool. So yeah, Thomas, it may not be over for you yet. Let's go and have a look at the 3D radar, and let's see if there's a fresh. Make sure we get the freshest image. Nope. All right. So remember, I said there were. I looked at the new before. I showed you there was something around potentially around here. So we have something. So we're going to be interesting to see exactly whereabouts it was. But I think it's that green dot there, which is what I actually was pointing on. And I did show you that area there. That is looks like it's going to be potentially a cell. Now let's have a look over here. No hail just yet, but pretty damn big updrafts. I wish I could zoom in for you, but I can't because we saw before it goes just way past it. But some pretty solid updrafts. You can see there's some very heavy reds way up. And where we got now? Storm's now up, so it's nearly 6 k's in height. Not bad. It's a bit far away. We'll go. It's probably there actually. This is the anvil part at the front of it. 7, 8 k's of height. Not bad at all. Decent size for an early spring storm. You can see there. That's pretty danger signs for hail. You can see there's yellow as moderate rain. You can see how far it's thrust up in the atmosphere, 7 k's, and it's still going up. So yeah, that's a pretty decent storm starting to develop now, a pretty strong storm. And the airport can probably consider itself lucky that it's just on the back edge of that. It'll miss out on anything, but there is definitely an interesting discontinuity there. Let's have a look. Updated stuff. Nothing there yet. We'll hopefully that'll update soon, but we'll go back to here. I'll have that looping in the background. I'll go back and answer some questions while this is going on. We'll slow that down a bit. Clear my distance measure off there. Let's go a bit slower as well. Okay, we got climate change is scam. Lol. Yep. Just switched over to my laptop. No thunder light to the south of me yet, but from the Atlanta airport. Thank you, Rachel. No one outside yet. Can you explain how the storm formed? I did explain, Oscar. Will Kilcare Heights get a thunderstorm or only get updrafts hail? I have no idea where Kilcare Heights is, Oscar. Sorry. I'm assuming that's somewhere in the southern sunny coast. And if things continue the way they are, if there's getting a storm near them, anybody's at risk of getting somehow, I imagine. Um, because you can see how fast things are going up and how unstable it is once it gets up into the upper air. There's plenty of moisture above us. It's just the surface that is dead as anything. And as I was explaining to you before, the process for this is basically just tapped into a bit of moisture near the surface of near the coast here. And if I show you, I'll go here and check our obs. You can see the obs, and I'll show you what the difference is. There's no storm warnings yet. And go to the observations. You can see the dew points on the coast are 14, 15 degrees, which is plenty of moisture. And you head inland and you can see they're down at 8. And even down in Wollongong, that 8, you can see that's where the dry air is already pushing through. So that's why there's nothing there. Camden is 6. So you've got, 9 degrees change in dew points as you get towards the coast, which is why they're exploding as they get towards the coast. There's all this moisture. So some very shallow moisture there, or some surface moisture, um, possibly just you can see there's a sort of light northerly and light southerly. There's not a lot of wind at all. So it's more likely some air, um, moist air from the sea pushing inland, just being sucked up by this trough as it goes past. And as it gets sucked up into the trough, it's exploding. And in the dry areas in the west, too dry, nothing there, nothing there for it to tap into. So that's why it's exploding right on the coast. So normal, it's not convection because there's no sun out, it's advection. And that is the process of obviously winds up above us sucking the air up into the trough, and it's because there's enough moisture. It is reacting to that lovely cold air above us, and bang, away it goes. South of Terrigal. Okay. Well, and you're definitely in a target zone. You may even get some outflow from this thing going off the coast. It's got a big core on it now, big off the coast. Though, look at that, beautiful, even like a almost like a hook shape. It'll be interesting to go back to see our radar in a minute, check if it actually identifies it as a. There we go. It's even now labeled as a severe storm with that triangle, and that's a hail marker. So this one here is, wow, look, see how fast they're moving. Like in one frame, it's gone right across that Maroubra area, and it's basically just off the coast now. Near, is that Waverley down there? Somewhere in that area, but yeah. Um, And what we want to look now is some outflow boundaries. So you can see, and again, don't forget orange and yellows and that stuff are away from radar. So if you're going to see some outflow from that, which is the cold air being dropped by the storm as it dies, drops its guts, and that actually can help kick up more storms. Now they've got these dots appearing out here. So there's definitely one in Penrith. So definitely not over yet inland. And if you recall, my outlook said 6 to 10 p.m. still there's a chance. So it's not all over Red Rover yet, but there's definitely some dry air moving through. You can see Camden on 6 degree dew points is not having fun. And you can probably see this is the moisture here. Actually, we can see just the very southern edge of that moisture. So the very edge of that dry line is probably just here. Penrith is still under some, we'll look at the obs in a minute, but must still have some moisture around because there's some air rising there. And all these little dots of oranges there are definitely updrafts going up. And what we're looking for here is air moving away from this cluster towards the coast here. And you can see at this stage it's heading away from the radar. So not any outflow boundaries, but there's definitely some air moving away, unstable air. You can see it just pushing through now. So possibly something out your way. But weather will do what weather does, as it will always do. So we'll put that back in loop. And we'll go back and just check those obs out Penrith way and see what they've got. Yeah, look at that, dew point 13. Oh, I just said to you, I called it without even looking at it. So you can see Camden 6, so that dry line is very, 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 very laying right across. So I'm betting Campbelltown is probably just, yeah, Campbelltown is just on the very edge of it. You can see 6 degrees dew point difference between that, only a few kilometers away. Shows the dry line is pushing through, and that dry line will encourage um, storms to explode. So be prepared for anything really basically now. Really from I would love to see if there's anything down here, but basically anywhere sort of from the Shire, sort of northwest. So anything sort of from Penrith to the Shire and northeast, so right across the rest of the basin, definitely a chance for storms. Unfortunately, anything from Penrith, almost like sort of Campbelltown, sort of Shire now, and to that southwest, unfortunately, probably no chance or low chance at this stage unless you can get some extra moisture sort of pumped in. And these storms can drop their guts, mind you, and they do, and they can leave some moisture behind as well. Um, so that may help push some moisture back that way, but it's unlikely, unfortunately. I'm not going to hold out sort of anything for you. Now, why is that not updated? Let's just give it a hard refresh because that should have that stuff out there. You can see this big cell now gone right off the coast. Let's check out what's going on this way. You can see here, still there. So it's definitely some sort of there shower or something trying to develop. Moisture, as I said, it's getting thin on the ground there now. You can see Penrith is still 13, still okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. Should see maybe a shower pop up. Maybe all over for storms, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But It's the witching hour now because you're losing the convective assistance from the sun. Obviously, obviously hot air rises, um, and the dry air is not a good sign because it means the air is sinking. So it's that subsidence effect means that air from above is coming down to the surface, and that's obviously a massive storm killer. And so this area here is right in between that sort of area. Um, maybe chill over, maybe not. This thing here, though, near to the northeast, or sorry, northwest, northwest of Liverpool now, really has a chance to explode because it's going to come into. There's probably a lot of moisture here in the back end of the Sydney Harbour there because it will come up the harbour, and it's one of the reasons pretty why this stuff has exploded as well because the air will obviously the moisture from the harbour, both Botany Bay and the harbour, will be sort of pooling around those areas, and no wind, so it allows it to warm up and actually get used for change, as opposed to that normal cooling effect that we normally see. Let's go back and have a look at some of those obs and see what's going on at the back there. Um, there's no gauges around there. The Parramatta only reports twice a day, so that's not really helpful. Um, you'd probably say uh, Sydney Olympic Park, perhaps. That's a good indication for you. Look at that, dew points of 15.5. In fact, it's even moister there or higher dew points there than actually on the coast, and that gives you a good indication just about that the back of that harbour effect that's actually working today, as opposed to being negative about it against it. And you can see at 21 degrees there with 15.5 dew points. There's plenty of potential there for stuff to explode around that area. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that area. Again, around the sort of to the south, west southwest and the west of the CBD, around this sort of area here, that sort of area here, heading towards again towards the northeast. So the the northern beaches make it their second storm, and I hope the people who are listening about getting some lightning photography because you will be getting some crackers now. That cell is going absolute bananas off the coast, and you can see one of the reasons why too. Look at that hail core way up there, massive, big, fat hail core way up there, and it's going way up now. Look at that. It's now nearly 9 kilometers high. It is exploding. Beast off the coast. Lucky buggers. Let's have a look if there's any decent winds in it yet. No, nothing yet. It's interesting. Interesting down here. There's definitely some strong gusts just off Kernel there. You can see how there's those blues nestled in amongst those yellows and oranges. There's some strong winds down there for sure. And that may put this. You can see here quite clearly. Here's those. Look at these updrafts going up, and you can see really the discontinuity between that sort of dry air and that moist air really lying across that area. You can see these red dots are all updrafts trying to go up. Some down near Campbelltown there, and there's even one up near Camden. I hope for the mayor of Camden, and you can see that stuff near Penrith. So there's definitely some um, stuff trying to get going, but maybe just all over Red Rover, may not. Just depends exactly how. Um, there's plenty of moisture up here around this area here, so this is the definite area to watch. I think I'm as low as I can go. Might go up a little bit and try and just filter out some of that noise. Um, The normal radar is on 5 degrees if I remember. It'll tell us on here. Let's go up. Yeah, it used to tell us on here. And they took it off. It actually would say elevation. Unfortunately, they don't have that on there anymore. It's disappointing. Um, it may have been the information. Where's the radar information? I mean, it used to be on here too, and it seems to have gone. Oh, there it is. Ain't gonna work. Okay. Nope. He is not working. It all not working. It all ain't happening. Okay, well, anyway, you can see the reasons why there's some strong air. Look at that, pushing back towards the coast there as well. Let's go up to updated radar. It should be refreshed now. Let's have a look. I've got auto refresh on. Yeah, I have, but I'll just do a manual refresh just in case. And while we wait for that stuff, just to the west southwest of the harbour there. Oh, there you go. Latest frame. Look at that. Just gone from nothing to a little yellow blob. We can actually probably zoom in now too, because I think we'll get 32, maybe just in the edge. There we go. Even to red at one stage there. So, um, interesting. That's definitely the area to watch. Parramatta, Chester Hill, into the CBD, that sort of triangle there, the middle triangle. definitely something going to kick up, I think. Just keep an eye on that. You can see it's heading straight towards that pool of moisture. And this thing didn't hang around too long to actually suck it all away. So um, definitely something worth watching. Oscar, could something explode at Kilcare? Yeah, of course. As I said before, it's all moving towards the northeast. So as the dry line moves towards moisture, which is where it would be on the coast, there is definitely a chance of something. But as obviously the night moves on and it starts moving off the coast, the chances drop. But still, definitely a chance within the next hour and a half, 2 hours, for sure. For anywhere basically from Sydney right up through to Gosford, I'd say, up into even to Nora Head probably, as this other stuff starts to move through. But it's clearing out pretty quickly. So um, something rise near Camden. Yep, I agree there, Thomas. We'll keep an eye on that. Moisture's fairly limited, but once it gets above the surface, there's still some moisture up above it. So we'll see how motivated it is. Hello, Mr. Preston. Hope you're well. Tracy, did you get anything up your way yet? It's going past you right now. Maybe a brief shower. You can probably feel a bit of surge of humidity, maybe even some cooler winds. I'm just going to see what's west coming from behind it. Yeah, there's still something coming from here. You can see those returns over the Blue Mountains now. Don't forget the Blue Mountains is obviously between 1.1 kilometers and 1.3 kilometers high, so it's above all this dry crap that's on the surface that's impeding us. Um, but still, something looks like there's something potentially there, but definitely dead down this way. Um, but not much else behind that. So look at that. You can see this. Look at those buggers. Look at that. So unfair. Um, Definitely heading out towards the sort of east northeast, heading towards that sort of Hunter, Lower Hunter, Mid Hunter, and the mid north coast. Slowly, you can see actually quite dramatic there. A good indication of just how the trough starts to clear out because you watch those white arrows, which are the algorithms directions the storms are taking. They're sort of heading towards the east, a little bit east southeast, and then they just basically pivot and start heading towards the northeast. And you can see that it's just as this mass clears out. Definitely over all over and over for us once this stuff clears out there, unfortunately. Um, oh, a little yellow cell's disappeared, but oh no, maybe it's because of where are we? Still there, but he'll be up and down, up and down. He's struggling. He wants to make that soupy harbour water soon, otherwise he's going to run out of puff too. You can see how quickly that dry air is moving through behind it, just shredding stuff. Let's go. Where have we got an update here? There we go. You can see that off the coast. That wow, far out. Look at that hail, far out. It goes from way. That's a massive hail shaft out there now. There's some poor old whales migrating south. They're getting absolute pummeled with some decent sized hail. Oh, and it's lucky, I guess, it's for people that's moved off the coast because there'd be definitely some smashed windows and cars and stuff like that. That is definitely a beast of a storm. Look at that, far out. Wow. Not a lot of wind with it though, but wow, some big hail, some whopping big hail. Okay, we'll run the Let's have a look at this meso detection again. Let it run, um, and come back to it and see where things are now. I bet you there'll be definitely a couple of red dots out here. These are old red dots, so don't get too excited. They'll be replaced in a minute once it runs itself across the data. Clever invention there, Mister Weather Watch Met Center people. Good indication of where the strong cells are. There you go. All off the coast. Yeah, not unusual. Anyway, we'll leave those red dots on there because it's a good placeholder to see where things are progressing. All right, let's I think not a lot going to happen until we see this stuff get closer to the harbour, which is still some time away. Um, all right, we might quickly look at the models for tomorrow, and then we'll see what's happening. If it's going slow, then I'll probably will hop off and start talking because I don't think there's going to be much more. Um, One thing I want to point out though is that this um this is our money shot for tomorrow. You can see it's going to arrive overnight sometimes. So it's still way out to when you will Kenya. Where's it does have a distance measure on here if I remember. That's radio sons. It used to be able to just like put a dot and then measure to there, but can't do that anymore. Unless it's in the, no, it's not in the menu. No, bugger. Can anybody see a measurement thing here? Interestingly, you notice that one of the interesting things they put on here is they call it isolines, which is basically just areas of equal, like where it's not isobars. So that's interesting. An interesting change. I think an isolines is just an area, a line with an equal value, not actually like pressure. So I think you're pretty fine. Yeah, there you go. G potential height. So an isoline is a line that connects areas of equal values. So on here, they don't say it's isobars. They're just saying basically what the model is showing is areas of equal values. So not, because it's a digitally constructed uh, idea of the data, not necessarily correct. So it's not an isobar because an isobar is supposed to be uh, a line joining areas of equal air pressure. Whereas an isoline, as I said, is a line just joining equal values. So people see windy and they go, "Oh my god, a swelling thing off the coast," and they say, "But you can see the lines are there. It shows a low." It's actually not an isobar; it's an isoline. It's what the models, what it thinks that the model's showing, but sometimes, as we all know, reality turns out quite different. But this is just looking amazing out there. That is deep. That is strong. There is pretty a lot of severe storms in that area there, and that is heading our way. But as I said, not till tomorrow. Maybe overnight, maybe 4 or 5 a.m. maybe. I don't know. It's moving reasonably fast. Although this is 6 hours worth, so hard to know without measuring it. I can go back to the other website in a minute and have a measure it, and we'll see just what it's going. But let's have a look at now. We're going to zoom in for us tomorrow, and let's see. We're going to be disappointed or not, because I've got a feeling that it's either shifted north or south. Obviously, the bureau's access model is shifted south, but um, let's have a look. Let's go. We'll start with our favorite EC because I think it's updated. We'll just double check. Oh, it's still getting some decent rain tomorrow and windy. Well, look at that wind on there. It is updated, so let's go. Here we go. All right, so 7 o'clock, pretty dead, which we all expected. Potential sort of shower popping up. You can see that's because that southerly surging up. Now that's what's going to trigger. Um, it's going to feed the trough as it comes. So that stuff we're seeing just before in the satellite pictures to the world to the west is the trough, the upper trough, which is causing that stuff. We've then got this southerly. So we go back to, I think it's something I've actually forgotten about too. So, so sorry, southerly. So you'll be able to see that any second now. Here, you can see it's already coming up the coast now. It's just coming crossing the border. So the southerly there, and I'll go back to like probably a better higher res. You might be able to see it in this one here. You can see the wind ahead of it here. You can see that mid-level cloud. You can see this is upper level cloud. You can see the stuff storms here, which is sort of combination of a bit of everything at the moment, which is why it's a bit sort of hit and miss. And that sort of dry air. There's a wedge of dry air in here, and you can see the southerly coming up, just starting to cross the border there. And then this is that upper trough system, which is going to connect with this stuff coming. Now, if to zoom out, that is cold, unstable, moist air. Now, if you watch this as it loads, bit of a low here, but you can see it's starting to kick up. Now, what's going to happen is this is going to go over here, but then this eastern part, sorry, western part here is going to kick up and feed into here. It's going to connect with this trough here. And there's a low over here too. I just noticed, wow, is that, well, that wasn't forecast, I don't think. But that's beautiful. That's coming as well. So there's a whole lot of systems that are going to collide. And it's going to feed on this lower level unstable southerly cooler air. And because this is warmer, moist air above the surface, the two are going to collide and go bang. And where it goes bang is going to be the place that we'll see obviously the most severe weather. And that is rock back and forth between the Illawarra and sort of Hunter. More us was for a while, but obviously we're on the do not disturb list at the moment. And so that is what potentially is coming for tomorrow. So we'll get back to our narrative and let's have a look. And so suddenly comes up, but I'm not sure it's going to be here by 9 o'clock unless it really flies up because it's still way down near the border. But in saying, once this trough comes off the coast, it will actually help suck that southerly up. and then we'll see. So the key is going to be you can see how the winds turn from southerly to southeasterly at this stage and going off the coast. And you see then just start to about overnight, just about 1 a.m. Now, this is EC's version, don't forget, so it's don't hold gospel. You can see the wind start to then kink back towards the northwest, so from the southeast, and that's when activity starts to happen. And then you can see wacko. Now you can see it's splitting around us, which is not freaking surprising, but um, still some pretty good stuff there. And you can see it just feeds into that upper trough as it comes, plenty of storms. And then this is when the fun and games start to begin. You can see definitely some heavier stuff to Wednesday night moving through for us. Oops. Um, and then um, you can see here starts to sort of curve away and think, what's going on here? Well, then because we will zoom out a bit because then there is a very small meso low. It's not an east coast low because it's completely different the way it's forming, and you watch it quickly scoot off to the east, and that is what is going to be. Then this is what the bureau is saying, and they're obviously because EC backs them up 100%. So you can see we're on the poor person's side, which is not good news for us if we want to see any activity. But those on the western and southwestern side are going to see a pretty intense period of weather. Um, for a few hours, and then it scoots very quickly off out to sea. And so that's why it's definitely not an East Coast low, but it is definitely a meso low, and it's definitely going to wind up very quickly. And unfortunately, we are going to miss out on the main event just by now. This is what the models are saying now. And we saw today there was definitely 100 Ks or 200 Ks difference in what they were saying. So potentially that one little error by the models either way, and that's on top of us, or again we're completely away from it. So um, we'll quickly look at wind gusts, um, and uh, we'll check out what the because it's going to be pretty hectic for where it develops. So again, Wednesday night, early Thursday morning is going to be a game. You can see here really starts to feed on in, so you can see the Illawarra is definitely the focus. You can see how those winds here. You can see the trough lying across the coast, and you can see this little meso low develop in that trough, and really get going. Now, good thing is that winds stay, and then Thursday morning's going to be pretty hectic, even for southeastern Sydney and even southern Sydney and southwestern Sydney. Um, Pretty gusty. You can see, unfortunately, as we get the crappy winds and not much else. You can see here, pretty strong gusts here, 45 to 50 knots, and that's pretty nasty for a period of time there in early Thursday morning. It's probably the worst time when people are sleeping too. Um, And you can see here, pretty nasty off the coast, 60 to 70 knots off the coast. You can see here though, it's not really an East Coast lake because there's not really that real nice tight. You can see here, it really develops into a massive East Tasman low. You can see here, you can see that very broad sort of circulation there. Um, and then away it goes, and you'll see quickly the winds sort of pull away from us. Still in windy, showery Thursday, but not a lot of rain in totals. But some damaging winds definitely possible. And I'm surprised by the Bureau. The Bureau might put out, keep an eye out. We'll obviously keep you updated tomorrow, but there'll be definitely, on this scenario anyway, there would definitely be a severe weather warning coming out for us, just for winds. And obviously there'll be a dangerous surf warning, so be aware if you're a coast person. We'll have a look now quickly at the access side of things. Look at that, beautiful. That's a trough. You can see very clearly modeling that trough. You can see absolutely that trough, and you watch it pivot, and then away the low forms. And you can see Axis doesn't have it anywhere close to the coast like the EC does. So it's interesting that the Bureau is going with Axis with EC and totally dished Axis, which is fascinating, really, because we'll put the rain on here. You can see that. I mean, it's still got some good rain there, but nothing like EC had. You can see move up the coast, even gives us a bit of a nudge in the way it goes. But because it doesn't have that tight circulation center, access is better for us in terms of rainfall. You can see a lot better for us in terms of storms and rainfall. In fact, good falls. In fact, if I was to put accumulation on there for tomorrow, you probably find, I don't know, 20 to 40 maybe more. Oh, there you go, 60 on the coast, easy 50s to 60s across most of the basin in some respects. You can see here, so 40s to 60s. Yeah, so access is definitely what we want to come off. You want to see some good rain tomorrow and some storms. If we went to EC, I bet you it's pretty much less. Yeah. much, 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 much less. All right, let's have a look at what your old Icon's saying. So Icon's pretty exciting a little bit. It's actually playing the middle ground. Surprise, surprise. It's sort of going a bit EC and a bit access. So it's a middle ground one. So you can probably say at this stage, Icon's probably the one you would go if you're going from the outliers on side, the bad side and the poor side in the middle. Icon still 30 to 40 mils, maybe some 50 mils forward. So and let's look at get far away soon. It doesn't want anything to do with us. It's very much EC. So it's going to be EC GFS versus Access Icon at this stage. Looking at that, and we'll quickly check the bureau's Access C. That's the high res. Yeah, we won't see much on that because it's only a very limited hour model, and unfortunately, it doesn't go out far enough to give us any vision on tomorrow at this stage. So that's not going to help us much at all. So you can see tomorrow is going to be an absolute shit fight in terms of what happens. Best way I can describe it. No models, even so close to agree to the event, no models agree on the scenario. I just want to check. Let's have a look here and see if Icon goes for that wind, the low or not. Yeah, it does, but it doesn't have it. You can see here, nowhere near the coast as much as EC does. EC's on its own. So when it models on its own like that, either it's brilliant or it's hallucinating. So um, that's why I said pretty go with Icon because it's sort of like a middle ground. I think Axis is too far off, but although it does model the trough very nicely, and so you can see here, Icon models the trough very nicely. So you can see the difference though. Axis pivots at southeast northwest. We can see Icon pivots at northeast southwest, and that's pretty one of the reasons why we get a bit of difference in the rainfall. Um, what does GFS have? The trough there. It doesn't even have a low. You can see it sort of bends around as the surge comes up, but there's no low there on GFS. So we've got 4 different scenarios on 4 different models. So it's absolute shit fight for Wednesday night to Thursday. The best we can do is we'll just have to play it by ear, unfortunately. And that's the best I'm going to be able to tell you tonight. Other than one of them comes off, it's going to be some pretty decent weather on Wednesday night. If probably Icon and Axis, I don't know, maybe that's my bias. I want to see some rain. I don't want EC to come off. Bugger Illawarra. Sorry, Illawarra, if you're listening. Um, we'll see. I mean, it was off. They were wrong today. I mean, they were completely wrong about the timing of the trough today. Like, even if I go back to here, you can see here, even at 3 a.m. and 10 a.m. this morning, it was still wrong. You had this trough laying along the coast. It wasn't on the coast at 10 a.m. this morning. And it was more tilted sort of northwest, southeast as opposed to north south, which is why we didn't get as much stuff as the EC was sort of expecting. Um, so it makes it extremely hard. Let's see what Access sees this because it's the one that's updated the most quickly. Um, gives you pretty a better picture of what I'm talking about when I talk about the troughs. You can see here that's a bit of a messy situation. Those little blue lines are sort of the surface part of the trough. You can see where it sort of lines. You can see how very thin. Then you can see that change moving up very quickly. I don't know if it's going to come through in that sort of time. You can see how it loses focus as it gets near us. Though it gets all that big bulby sort of no sort of narrow line anymore. Um, and then you can see that it turns to that southeasterly as it starts to feed into the approaching stuff from the west. So that's the key tomorrow for you. Watch the obs. You start to see that southeasterlies bend in. You know that the trough is approaching from the west and northwest, and I guess then we'll find out exactly what the go is at this stage. We're none the wiser. Let's have a look back here at our clear radar up here. Let's see if anything's formed. Yeah, it's struggling, tried and then died. Yep, Dryo just overtook it. I bet you we'll check the DPs now. I think they dropped. I think still there's definitely a chance here for Sydney CBD through to even Manly again. Definitely a chance in this area here. That area is starting to move off. So it's still, you can see there's dots happening here. Still something with Northern Beaches, possibly on the southern central coast for sure. I think even though there's green there, I think that's that's copium. Let's have a quick look at the 3D and see what's going on there. You can see that those we'll just run those mesos. You can see here it's not overly tall, but still quite decent in showers. You can see there's really nothing brewing out here anymore. There's maybe a bit of stuff around there, but it's more surface. It's actually pretty a hill or something out there. I think that's isn't that around there where no, that's a bit further down this way. I say where the M5 and M7 sort of curve around into each other, but that's down this way, isn't it? Out that Liverpool Ray. There's something near Parramatta up there. Um, something down here near the Shire. Definitely something trying here. You can see definitely it says here there's a strong updraft from the curving in the back end of this stuff here. So that potential has that definitely that sells the potential to explode into something maybe just on the coast, but probably off the coast. But definitely keep an eye on that one. Um, it looks like it's all over Red Rover. There we go. It's just updated and it's moving. I bet you it's totally gone now. That red dot will move off here. I think. I think that's pretty all over Red Rover. All right, so let's have a look. Yeah, loop that. Let's give that a hard refresh, just in case. Yeah, I think our chances that's definitely gonna do something there. There's definitely still a chance that that little core here of kicking up something about here, and maybe again towards North Head, but it's looking like it's going to struggle. I mean, don't forget this is the sort of area you're looking at here, so there's still potential in this area here. Keep an eye on radar in those areas, but as I said, it's going to struggle because that dry air is really starting to catch up to it, and overtake it, and support for it sort of dying as well as it moves off. Of course, um, most of the chunky stuff is now well off to the northeast, off off the Hunter. Let's have a quick refresh of these. We'll see how those dew points are falling. I mean, Olympic Park's still 16 degrees, 16 dew point, which is incredible. But you can see this dry air right in the back end of it now. Canberra's still there, man. It's trying, but it's just losing support. Horsley Park's interesting. It's 14, and it's not Horsley Park is not far from obviously Holsworthy, and it's not far from Campbelltown and Camden, and it's just like a stuck out in the middle by itself. I think that might be a bit of a might be a little bit of an error there, or like a very localized effect. Maybe it's near a lagoon or something. There is there like a lake down near Horsley Park or something like that, or some low level. Is that where the Georges River is sort of low level down there? It's probably what's washing it out, I think, or influencing it. But otherwise, yeah, it's fairly limited. And then we just obviously put up with a horrible, suffocating night, and we'll see what tomorrow brings as the stuff moves in overnight. I think. All right, I'm going to. Any chance you can pick the winning Nulla numbers, Bob? Yeah, I wish I could. I wouldn't be in here. I'm going quickly through the checks. Can I? That storm when it may hit and when lightning. I already answered that. Probably not overnight. I'd say at least not till maybe 1 to 4 o'clock in the morning. Depends what sort of how it gets here. Um, Key will be watch the observations on the coast. They start to swing southeasterly, then you know it's not far away. Otherwise, let's wait and see. The southerly is an interesting thing too. You want to see the southerly first. No southerly, then it's still a long way out because the southerly is an indication that it's starting to suck air in as it approaches. Um, Definitely something heading your way, Sean, up your way. So good job for that. Um, Storm for chance for tomorrow. If anything, tomorrow is going to be embedded. It'll be some if it maintains the way it is now and we get taps into that stuff, it'll be embedded. But it'll be some decent severe cells embedded in that. But it's going to be all mushy, overcast, nimbostratusy with the embedded convective stuff. It's just a big cloud band. It won't be the individual type cell stuff, unfortunately. Um, yeah, you may have heard some rumble from off the coast, Thomas. Possibly, there's some fresh lightning up there. Looking at that radar. Um, I think they're manipulating the weather for some kind of agenda. Bob, are you setting me up to get trolled? Oh, I spent weeks last time dealing with those comments. Not that I mind. I don't mind. But people have their opinions. They can show how ignorant they are or not, or misguided they are, or misled is probably more the point. Um, and people will obviously cling on to a principle when it reinforces their beliefs in certain things or reinforces their values or their opinions. It's called confirmation bias. So if you're looking for something like that, you're always going to find it. Um, just like I'm looking for EC to actually have rain for a change, and it's not. So I've lost my confirmation bias. Bugger you, EC. But then EC is liable to go and change its mind in 6 hours too. So don't forget about that. They've all been pretty trash lately. Um, yeah, and 15 Rachel, the dew point's incredibly high. It's 16 at Olympic Park. don't know if it's got enough juice in the upper levels of it now to support it. And all it's going to do is trap that horrendous moisture in the surface and give us all a humid, sticky night. That's the reality we're facing right now in these dryland situations. They're so finicky. If they go off, they go off, and they don't go off, you get zilch. It's not like there's media, sort of situation where you might get something. It might not be as good as it might be, but you still get something. But we did. We had storms here today, so storms eventuated. So um, it is what it is, I guess. Um, yeah, I lovely. Same, Bob. Same. The dew point for Kilcare Heights. That is terrible. So terrible, I think. And Gosford hasn't got that area hasn't got much in the way of observations at all. It's a bit like us. But looking at that, it's around 14.7, around 15 degrees, you can probably say, which is pretty good. What we can do is we can actually put on here observations overlay, take the rainfall off, and we can see here. There you go. Dew point at 15, light northeasterlies, 22 degrees. You can see northwesterlies at Nora Head, which is not an interesting thing at 15, but only light. Oh, actually, no, 15 knots. That's reasonably. Northwesterlies. You can see here, northwesterlies, then you get down to here, and it's all over the place, which just goes to show we're right under the trough as it clears out. When you see like a wind roses like this, and there's no predominant directions, you're right under a baby. So when you're right under like that, unless it's got forcing or some sort of thing, yeah, you're gonna get screwed. You can see here, actually here, the backside of here, we start to get these southwesterly starting to direct, which is definitely the sign that the trough is clearing out, very much so down this way. And if I zoomed out, we should be able to see actually where it is on the coast. There we go. Shallow near Aladullah, so maybe we might get it by 9 o'clock. It's very shallow though. Only no, 28 knots. Actually, not shallow at all. That's decent. 30 knots Jarvis Bay, so it's coming. Just not on satellite picture at all. So it's very shallow, racing up the coast. Yeah, it might be here by 9, maybe 10, but it's definitely coming. That change you can see here. Southerly, and then southeast is down at Maria. So you can see that influence already. But keep an eye on those obs. So yeah, down near Jervis Bay, so Point Perpendicular, so only an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours away. It's racing up, so it's what's that, 30 knots, 28 knots. It's pretty strong, decent. So yeah, 2 hours will be here, maybe by 9 o'clock, maybe 9:30. Let's have a look. Um, there we go, high frequency storm trigger. I should see what that is. Um, maybe that's for tomorrow. I think that's my model actually just flagging it now. What does it say? There we go, just updated. I'll show you what it gives me. I'll drag it across. Just give me a second. So this is what I programmed in. So it goes and looks for all this stuff for me and then gives me an output. Okay, so go admin automation turn 4. We go 7 o'clock. Your error alert storm sidekick punching in. No warnings current, which we know. Forecast said cloudy skies, we know. Very high chance of rain throughout this morning. This afternoon, that was today, so it's obviously gone and been. A high chance, well, it was true, it did happen. Hazard likely Rolodex, I love that. East to storm side of RSVP, which is true, we did actually see some large hail. We think we did, no one reported it. Mesoscale triggers, it says nada, but we did see some potential ones on radar. And goes to the models, and then it has a quick snapshot, sends me that little snapshot via email to say this is what we've just done, and plugs the details in and gives me an update. So if I'm at work, I don't have to be keeping an eye on too many things, because obviously I'm trying to earn money to eat. Yeah. All right, here we go. Oh, and it's now lost, locked. I didn't realize I had that little pop up before. That's quite cool. Nice. All right, I'm going to go off and eat because otherwise I'm going to be divorced and I can hear someone bang at the door like, where the hell are you? No, I'm just joking, but I think we've got pork belly tonight. It's a Tuesday night treat. Yay. All right, have a great one. I obviously keep you updated with what's to go tomorrow, and I'll have a quick summary tonight. I'll check the radar and stuff like that, satellite picture where things are, so we get an idea where we're going to wake up to tomorrow morning. At this stage, you can keep an eye on obs. You can keep an eye on what the winds are doing, what time the southerly arrives. If it arrives around 9 to 9:30 or even 10 o'clock, then we know that models are reasonably on time. So we can then extrapolate from that that there's some confidence we can put into them. And if the winds turn to southeasterly, then our confidence increases. And then it's a matter of fact exactly where this trough crosses the coast, as to what comes next. And that's the biggest question we have not yet get answered. So we'll have an update. I'll have an update on models before I head to bed anyway. I'll put in the 18Z models, which will be not actually, there won't be 18Z at all. It will be 6Z, and they will be fairly trashy. It may not be even before I go to bed, actually. I'm just trying to think. 0Z was in at 5, 6 o'clock, another 6 hours from that. It'll be about midnight, potentially, if it does come out. I'll have another look before I head to bed anyway. If they're out, I'll put a quick update so we can know what we're going to wake up to in the morning. Otherwise, I am going to hop off and thank you for your company. It has been a pleasure to catch you all online. As usual, ask questions in the page. Absolutely, always happy to answer them there. And if you've got any sort of concerns or any other sort of direct questions, you can always send us a DM. I'm happy to answer them as well. Just be aware that I get flooded with questions, though you may take a little while to get back to you. Otherwise, I will always try and answer every pre-question I see. All right, other than that, it is time for Sean's most favorite time of the night. And I do look forward to this so much. Um, you know, I know he just absolutely loves it himself. Um, it's time to say goodnight and the lovely music. Otherwise, ciao, take care. Thank you for your company. And tomorrow we definitely will be live. So book me in and we'll walk you through what's going on and always support you and give you the latest info. Okay. Good night and take care. Ciao.